knows? Maybe I'll love it. Maybe it'll be so great and so incredible and so amazing that I'll be like, I can't believe it.
What was that? Okay, James.
It is literally the 18th of this month, and I think I've only read 3 books. What are we talking about? I had read like 8 by this time last month. I'm really scared, you guys. I'm trying to keep my expectations low, but I'm excited. And that's Break Room. Guys, this cover is so stunning. Hello. This is the UK cover, by the way. From what I understand, and really the only thing I know about this book, is that a group of like 8, is it 8 people? Yes. Receive an invitation to be on this TV show, like a reality TV show. The reason why they got picked, according to the synopsis, is because they were voted in by their own coworkers as the people they'd least like to share the break room with. And apparently there's a mole. Among them is an imposter, a mole planted by the show's producers. The only way to uncover the prize is to uncover the saboteur before time runs out. I am really excited. Does this book have a lot of great reviews? Well, no. Did I buy it and am I excited to read it anyway? Well, yes. It's also something I really need to remedy and hopefully will be a good use of this video. It's AAPI month and I have not read a single Asian American author this month. Oh, okay. We need to change that like immediately. So I'm really excited about this.
The next day.
I'm on page 43. And now that I've gotten like really into the weeds of the rules, I wanted to kind of share with you. Part of this experience is that they want it to be anonymous, so everyone has a nickname. We have Ice Cube, who is the person who right now we are currently following. I don't know if like his perspective is the one we're getting throughout the whole book, but he puts coffee and Coke in the ice trays, like the communal ice trays. There's Tumblr, who has 24 tumblers in the break room sink unwashed, but claims to be an environmentalist. We have Coffee Mix. She hoards the popular coffee mix sticks at her desk. We have Monologue. This one is so real, like to me, because this happens to me almost every day. Monologue is the person who loves to deliver monologues in the break room. That happens to me every day. I hate it. And then we have Cake, who is the person who hoards cake boxes in the fridge and never takes them home and never eats them. From 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day is their like working hours. So I guess as a part of the agreement for the workplace, so they're not just out an employee for a week, they actually have to work while they're there. You also can only be in the break room for 100 minutes a day. So that sounds like a lot, but I mean, when you're going from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., it's not a whole lot of time. Like 100 minutes compared to that whole time is not that much. And something that is really interesting is you can get hints to help figure out who the mole is. How do you get hints? By breaking the rules. What that means, I don't know. That's all it says literally in their like packet that they got. How do you get hints? By breaking the rules. Oh, okay.
Oh my God. I thought this was a classy party.
Something that is really interesting is you can break a rule to get a hint, find something out about, like you can pick, oh, hey, I want to find out if Monologue is the mole. Like, give me a hint about Monologue. And you can tell them which person you want to know a hint about. Or you can get a hint about yourself, which is really interesting. And at first, Ice Cube is like, okay, obviously I'm not the mole. I don't need a hint about myself. Why would that even be an option? And then he starts thinking about it and he thinks, wait, is the hint about myself like things from my coworkers as reasons why they voted me in here? I think that's what a lot of the kind of topics of this book are going to be about, and what we choose, like what opinions we have about our coworkers, which is great for me because I like one of my coworkers. I have like 12 coworkers, and I like one of them. So this, I think, is going to hit home for me.
Be nice.
I'm finding it.
It take you that long to find it?
It does.
But yeah, I am really intrigued. Trying not to be too intrigued because I know this has a lot of low reviews, and it's a very short book. It's less than 200 pages. So I know there's not a whole lot that can happen. And I think maybe the book is more so about, you know, people and relationships and how we view each other than it is like this mystery about who's the mole. You know what I mean? I think probably the people that are disappointed by this book go in thinking, oh my goodness, here's this big mystery and we're going to solve it. And it's like, okay, it's less than 200 pages. How are we going to do that? I think it's more of a character study about people and about people in the workplace. I will let you know. I'll probably update you again when I'm halfway through and tell you my updated thoughts. I think it's pretty obvious that what this is going, like the reveal, what this is really going to be about is that you can't, you know, what can you really judge a person for and judge a person by? Something that I think about a lot of the time when it comes to reality TV is somebody can be annoying and not be a bad person. Like, there is a big difference between being an annoying person and being a bad person. Bad people can be annoying, but not all annoying people are bad. And I think when you watch reality TV, a lot of the time they try to make annoying and bad person synonymous with each other. And that's kind of, I think, what this is going to be going into is like, hey, somebody can have annoying tendencies or annoying personality traits, and you can get really frustrated by that. And they can have little quirks and things that kind of get on your nerves, but that doesn't make them a bad person. And a lot of the time we see these quirks and we're like, hey, this person is annoying me. I hate this person. This person is terrible. And we're so quick to write people off and be like, okay, I don't want to know anything more about them. Like, we immediately see people's faults and their flaws, and we go, okay, I've seen everything I need to see. I don't want to be around that person. I don't want to talk to them. And I feel like especially in the workplace, right? Because in the workplace, you're not really seeing someone's true self. You're not really getting to know them. Like, yes, you're around someone, 40 hours a week. You learn about a lot about them. You see a lot about how they are and what they do. But really, we're all kind of putting on a performance a little bit when we go to work. We're not fully being our true selves in a sense. And so it's like, how much of their character that you see while you're on the clock do you take as, oh, this is who they are to a T? You know what I mean? I am really enjoying the book. I do like how it's written a lot. So I'm on chapter 8. Yes, I'm on chapter 8. I don't even know how many chapters there are. Wait a minute. The book actually ends right here. The book is not 197 pages. It's 140.
The woman was too stunned to speak.
Oh. So I only have this much of the book left. This is the translator's note and the first couple chapters of the other book by the author. So I just finished Break Room. It really doesn't matter who the mole is. Like, that's really not the point of the story, kind of like I said. Like, the point of the story is to talk about how we view people and how we judge people. I think it's a very surface level way of talking about extremely deep topics, right? It delves a little bit into cancel culture and how one person can make one mistake in their life, say one bad thing, do one bad thing, and that is the stain on their life. Like, that becomes the thing that they're known for. Like, you can do one thing at your workplace and it might be something minor, and people can take that and spin that and make it something that it's not. And at the same time, you could argue you can do something at work and you can think that it looks one way, and you can try to justify it as meaning something, but really it is something else, and it comes across as something so different. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to explain it without talking about it. And I mean, it's 140 pages, okay? I'm just going to talk about it a little bit in a swirly context. Ice Cube is kind of having this internal breakdown of like, oh, how do other people view me at my workplace? Like, how do I come across? Like, what type of person do my coworkers think I am? Normal people in real life are kind of playing the same game that the people in the show are playing. Like, they are dissecting everything that people are doing. They are trying to find reasons not to like them. They are assigning nicknames and characteristics to them, to boil them down to, oh, hey, you're just the guy that has cups everywhere. You're just the guy that's messy. You're just the guy that, never washes his cup out. You're just the guy that makes coffee and leaves coffee stains everywhere. Like, that's all that you are. And that is such a big part of, like, the message behind the whole thing, is that you cannot boil people down to not only just the one thing that they do, but, like, their smallest actions, even at work, of all places. So the reason why he's called Ice Cube, we learn that the reason why those are in the fridge, because on the surface, what is that a big deal about? Like, what does that even mean? What does that even matter? But the reason why he has those ice cubes in the fridge is because he's talking to one of his coworkers one day, who is a woman, and she's talking about how, oh, like, it's so hot in the room, and her ice starts to melt, and her drink obviously starts to get diluted. It becomes watered down because the ice is melting, and her drink doesn't taste as good, so she has to come back and get ice throughout the day to put in her drink. And so, as a nice gesture in his mind, without being asked, he makes Coke ice cubes in the fridge for her to put in her drink. He does it with the exact brand, the exact type of drink that she is drinking. Now, is that on the surface necessarily that weird? Maybe not. Maybe you're just like, oh, well, that drink is probably common. If it's just regular, if she drinks Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola isn't a niche drink. Like, that's pretty common, right? But she doesn't put her drinks in the fridge in the break room. She only leaves them at her desk in her personal space. So someone would have to invade her privacy to quite a degree to even know what drink it is she drinks. From his perspective, he's like, oh, I'm just doing her a nice favor. And he is kind of, because he's kind of an unreliable narrator, right? That we're hearing from, because in our minds, we agree with him. Before we know this information, we're like, ice cubes, like, what's so weird? Like, yeah, okay, it's a communal ice tray, so nobody can have regular ice. But, like, that's not that big of a deal. And in his mind, he's like, oh, hey, there's people in the office that do worse things. And on the surface, the ice isn't that big of a deal. Ice isn't that big of a problem in this scenario, but it's the underlying details that make it even more creepy. There is a second coworker who is also a woman. He goes out of his way to find out what brand of coffee it is, how sweet she likes it, what stuff she puts in her coffee, and he takes the time out of his day and spends his own money making the perfect coffee diluted sugar mixture that is to make it exactly how she likes it. Here's the fight. Here's the battle that you have to figure out. Is it that he's a creepy man and he is trying to make moves on his coworkers and he is crossing very normal, very normal to set boundaries? Or is he a socially awkward person who has an extremely hard time connecting with other people, interacting in any social situation. And so in his mind, he has to find something to bridge that gap, to connect with people in any way that he can. And because his wires aren't, because he's wired a little bit differently in his brain, he doesn't understand that going through his coworkers' trash to figure out what brand of Coke they like, that is a boundary cross, and that is weird and that is uncomfortable. He thinks that it is normal, and so to him that is fine. I enjoyed this book. It made me think a lot. I love a good workplace book. I definitely know that this will not be for everybody. A lot of people will be like, really, that's it? I really liked this. I'm gonna give it 4 stars. Is it the best book I've ever read in my life? Oh my goodness, it did this, that, and the other thing? No, but it really, I think, sparks some really interesting conversation. And I think unfortunately, its biggest flaw is that it does just kind of scratch the surface. It's very surface level talking points, but they are very serious talking points, and it does make you think more critically about the things that are being discussed. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. So we're starting off the video at least with a success.
Several days later.
Hey guys, it is many days later. I'm halfway through Malka, and just to kind of give you a TLDR, this book is following this girl named Dahe, and she works in this office job, and she has this boyfriend, and oh my gosh, her boyfriend is so great and so amazing and rich and hot and wonderful, but he sucks. He's the worst. He's the worst. And then we have Jun Young, and Jun Young, think of the worst man that you know and multiply it by 115. That's Jun Young, okay? He works at the same place that Dahe works in, and he has these cameras up all over the workplace, the hallways, the elevators, the bathrooms, these Molka spy cameras. And he starts to kind of get attached to Dahe and is kind of protective, is what he thinks he's being, of her. And it's very disturbing. Obviously, thinking context clues, right? We're talking about men spying on women when they're in vulnerable positions. You can connect the dots there. But something that I know is coming, and I don't know how it's going to play into it. I know that randomly, 70% of the way through this book goes supernatural, which, if I didn't know that, I would not at all be expecting. There's things that are talked about as far as Dahe, her sister, she took her own life a couple of years before the book is taking place, and it's not Dahe's fault necessarily, but she kind of put the act in motion, I guess you could say. And she's pretty much being haunted by her sister, and through the whole book you're like, oh, okay, this is just in her head. But I have been told that it gets supernatural towards the end, so I don't know if her sister's actually haunting her or what's gonna happen. I don't know, okay? I will say, the tagline, I don't have the dust jacket over here, it's all the way over there, but the tagline on the cover of this book says he has a taste for voyeurism, she has a taste for revenge. And just so you know, if you are also wanting to read this book, my mom warned me, because she read this a couple months ago, the revenge does not even start until all the way over here, 75% in. So if you're reading this book thinking this book is going to be all about this revenge plot against these 2 terrible men, that is not the case. That is not the case. But I am enjoying it. Saying I'm enjoying it sounds weird, but it is incredibly interesting to read about these people. And unfortunately, we do follow the perspective of Jun Young, and so we know exactly what he is thinking pretty often. And it's bad. It's just as bad as you think it is. But I'm going to try to crank out maybe a little bit more of this. I hope to finish this tonight because it reads pretty quick. And then I will let you know when I finish it. Loving someone meant that you had to have their best interest at heart. Sometimes it was giving them a wake-up call like he had done with his mother. He could help Dahe. He wouldn't shake her hard, of course. His mother was old and stubborn and needed more encouragement, but Dahe was young, pliable, and it wouldn't be hard to mold her into his ideal woman. A common whore. Was that all she was? Like her sister, Dahe had done everything in her power to make herself a woman of good standing. She had worked hard to get a degree from a good school. She had a good job. She was careful not to get too drunk when she went out, and she didn't sleep around. In the end, none of it had mattered. She had done everything a supposedly respectable woman did, and she still ended up the whore. Like, yes. Why, yes. Hey guys. I finished Molka several hours ago, and I've really been trying to ruminate on my thoughts and think about what I want to say about it. Number one, I just want to get out of the way the simple, easy things that I know how to articulate first. Number one, I gave it 4 stars. Number two, I think that Monica Kim has some insane writing chops. And number three, I think she is one of the very few, sorry to say it, authors right now that actually know what female rage means. Like, the term female rage is getting thrown around so much right now, and it's like, people don't know. I don't feel like people know what they're talking about. Like, Monica Kim knows female rage, like, and she's gonna make sure you know it too. Like, so good. But it's really weird to describe how I feel about this book, because I'm not supposed to enjoy what it is that I'm reading. Like, it's very graphic and very dark, and it's supposed to be that way. And there are things that take place in the book that are supposed to make me angry. And there are things that main characters go through that are supposed to be upsetting. And so, like, I can't sit here and say I enjoyed reading the book, because it's not supposed to be enjoyable. Something that I, as a person who loves psychology, I love, even though, like, the male characters in this book were terrible, awful, do not take this as me saying I loved them, because I did not. I love the conversations around how people end up the way they end up. This might be such a weird connection, but Jun Young in this book was reminding me so much of Richard Ramirez, which, like, scary comparison to make, but, like, little TLDR if you didn't know, Richard Ramirez's uncle, I believe, was in a war. He, like, assaulted women, also, like, killed them, and, like, took Polaroids of them and brought them home, and was like,
"Hey, 7-year-old Richard Ramirez, look at all these cool pictures I have of dead naked women."
and he was like, I like that. Let me break into people's houses. That's such a TLDR. But anyway, like, that's what that reminded me of. And, like, truthfully, like, where you come from and who raises you matters so much. And specifically, like, man, woman, anything in between, how whoever raises you views women is how you will view women. It's just it's so real as well. Like, it's one of those books that reading it, you know that there are people, not just a person, there are people, several, who believe the things that are happening in the book, like, that act the same way characters in the book act, that would say the same type of things. Especially when it comes to this kind of rhetoric of one creepy man trying to say he's protecting you from another creepy man. It's like, okay, like, y'all are playing for the same team, buddy. Okay, don't get it twisted. I think the book is very good at what it's
it does exactly what it sets out to do. It wants to make you emotional, wants to make you mad, wants to make you angry. It wants to make you feel all of these things, and I think it does a really good job of that. And like I said, it's weird because I can't say that I had an enjoyable time reading the book, because I think that would be kind of weird to say. But even still, I think that the book is incredibly written. The supernatural element, to me, it was cool, but I wanted more of it. Like, to me, the eyes are the best part was so, like, and don't get me wrong, like, this book is gory and graphic in a way different way than the eyes are the best part was. Like, I wanted more gory and graphic in terms of, like, the way that the eyes are the best part did it. And it wasn't in that way. I don't really know how to explain that. I still really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. But no, please, please, please no. Obviously, the synopsis of this book, you know, does kind of tell you what you're getting into a little bit, and kind of the gravity of the situation that you're reading about. But something that I don't think a lot of people have been talking about with this book is how graphic it is. Every trigger warning in the book, like absolutely every trigger warning in the book. This is not a book that I would necessarily recommend to people, like, outwardly, which is weird to say. I don't mean that because I'm like, I don't think people should read this, but I genuinely would be like, hey, like, even just to a normal person in everyday life, like, if somebody asked me, like, oh, hey, should I read this? I would be like, yes, but asterisks, you know, like, take care of yourself type of situation. So, but yeah, I really enjoyed the book, and I think that it did a really great job at what it set out to do. Was very disturbed. I completely forgot that I did not film an outro for this video. I was sitting here editing it, and I was like, oh, I don't have an outro. So if you don't know me, my name is Casey. I go by Pumpkin Online, PMPKIN, because without you guys, I have nothing. Thanks for watching. Loving someone meant that you had to have their best interest at heart. Sometimes it was giving them a wake-up call, like he had done with his mother. He could help Dahe. He would shake her. Loving someone meant that you had the... Why can I not read? Hello? Loving someone meant that you... I'm going crazy. Okay.